I'll do a little countdown. Everybody, welcome back to another Roblox Lewis scripting video, and today I have something really cool, but it's really simple to understand, but it's a cool concept that I don't think exists yet. I was researching YouTube and the Roblox dev forum. There's nothing like this kind of tutorial, but the concepts are out there. So let me explain to you what I made. So it's probably obvious what I already made, but it is a working in-game digital camera system. So if I take a photo right here, and I can adjust my FOV, so let's go like that. I'll do a little countdown, and it takes a picture of what it sees. It renders it in this little cool UI that I made, and then you can either save it or not. But if you want to save it, I have a little camera roll here, an extra feature, and you can save it. It makes that sound, and it'll save it right here. I didn't code the. You can add on to this, so I set it up for you guys. But this is you can edit photos, because technically coding wise you can do a cool edit photo feature if you wanted to, and you can do like a generative AI type of thing, like you can delete certain players in the photo or certain objects. It's up to you guys if you want me to do that. Just like the video and comment below. I can do a part 2 with the extended version of this, but right now all you can do is delete the photo. But let me show you more about this. Okay, so I can adjust my angles. You can even do a little filter button if you want, like change what the filter looks like the whole screen. To take a photo, let's do this, zoom in like that, and there you go. So it is a little on the, hold on, it's a little on this, there needs to be more improvements on this in terms of capturing objects entirety, but it gets the job done. This did take a while. I faced a little issue with a certain thing in terms of capturing the sky, and I know it's simple, but the players themselves, because I didn't realize that Roblox characters of players are archivable, set to false upon start. So that took a while to figure out. But other than that, this is a pretty cool. I think it's a pretty cool concept. You can go like that, like me running. There you go. But yeah, so it's a pretty cool thing. And yeah, let me explain to you guys how I made it. So the first thing that's important here is a folder called Capturable Objects, and what this Capturable Objects folder's purpose is everything that you want to be capturable in a photo would need to be inside this folder, whether this be a building, basically everything in your game that you want capturable. I don't know how you guys want to implement this into your game if you wanted to, but all you need to know that everything that you want capturable has to be inside this capturable folder. Meaning so that since I want players, like friends, to take photo of each other, I have this one singular server script that basically every time a player joins, respawns or whatever, it sets the character's parent to the capturable objects folder, so it moves the player into the folder automatically. But besides that, that's important, and let me explain to you guys the actual important system, and I'll explain what these value means in a second. I don't think I need this actually. Bool value. Did I do anything with this? No, I didn't. Alright. So I'm gonna start a GUI, and we're gonna go to camera snap. That's what I like to call it, because I didn't know how to name this video, honestly, but it was like a digital camera system or a camera system. But if I name the camera system, people might get it confused with a normal camera system, like the security camera system. But anyways, so I have two things here called frame and display. Display is the frame that displays the rendering effect that I did, and this frame only has a viewport and the necessary things to make it look like this. But the important thing here is the viewport, which puts all the objects from the capturable object, if seen in the screen of the player, in here. So that's basically what that does. But the important thing here is the frame. Oh, by the way, if you want to know how to do that little cool render effect that I did, that slides out, it's literally just a frame of the same color as the background, and just I tween it to move change its size vertically. But anyways, so filter. So if we just go to frame here, this is the important thing. So we have 4 scripts here. The angle handler. The angle handler literally just controls the button, this button, and changes the angle to 3 different angle: top, bottom, side look, and the default angle. That's just what that does. The free camera is a resource script I found in DevForm because I didn't feel like coding a whole free camera system. If you want to take a look at it, take a look at it. But basically, the only thing I needed from this is I changed from this is it updates this FOV value, like when you zoom in and zoom out in the camera mode. It will set the FOV value to that FOV, so it accurately sets the camera angle in the viewport to match the FOV value. Alright, so here's the actual main thing. So you can take a look at this. These are just all the buttons and stuff, and the photo list is just, the camera roll thing here. So I got a lot to explain, but it makes sense. And also this folder is all the sounds that I use, the little effects when I click the button and render and save the photo and that stuff. And this bool value is literally, I'll explain to you. I just use that to know when to enter FreeCam. So the main thing here is the main handler. All right. So let's start from the top. So these are just the necessary variable, and this thing is called a world model. So when it comes to viewport, one of the struggles I had was to replicate the sky. The sky and the base plate. Now you might think the base plate is just a part. Obviously, if you can record these parts into the viewport, you can obviously get the base plate itself into the viewport. So one of the issues I faced was that turns out when you take a photo on a very zoomed in, like, close up photo, and even though the base plate is there, it's such a large object that the screen just the script just ignores it as the method I used that detects whatever objects in the screen. It just ignores it entirely. So a solution to that for like implementing the sky and the base plate, or I guess large object, is I put a world model object in replicator source, and I put the skybox, and this each one of these values copies the skybox from like the actual sky. So you changed it here, you change that here, and base plate is literally just a base plate. So if you have any like terrain or large objects or whatever, you would actually put that here in the world model thing here I did. Anyways, so back to the script. So the main handler. So capture button, once I click, I do the necessary things. Obviously, display visible false. You enter the free cam value. That the second I click capture, it allows this value goes to enter free cam mode. And once it does, the free cam script goes into that free cam mode. If that makes sense. I'll wait for that. And I made it like I took it upon myself to make this more readable. Like before I made my module, like every single code was here. That was super long. But I did make a module for you guys specifically for this system, so it's easier to understand. So that's literally that, and the save button is literally once the photo renders, you can either save it to your camera roll now. So this is what the button does. This necessary thing, it clones the viewport, parents that clone into the camera roll, which is right here, into the scrolling frame. This is the clone, by the way. So it clones it, puts it in the display, and display gets cloned into the, scrolling frame. All that skybox clone, this is the world model thing I was talking about, but in this case, it just clones the actual, right here, the world model just clones the whole thing again. Camera roll text button, this is just enables the camera roll, like the frame itself to like pop up and pop, like visible equals false and true, whatever. That's, yeah. If you know how to code, like beginning, like basic stuff, this should be like self-explainable. The main thing here, actually, I want you guys to understand is my module that I made. Alright, I think it's my first module I ever made in a tutorial. I don't know, but I finally have found purpose in using it. Alright, so let me take you guys like from like how it like starts and which function it uses in order. So let me just go like this. It's a lot of things happening here. Oh yeah. So I disabled this function called transition brightness. It makes this little camera let me explain. I disabled it for a reason because I don't know if you guys want it, but if you do want it, just like uncomment this specific line, and let me just test it for you guys. Right. Nice. So when you take a photo, right, it does a little like flash thing, like you know those like movies and cameras. It does that. Okay. Obviously the UI is like overlaid on top. It's easy to change, but it just does that. That's why it's not. It's cool, but it's not as cool as a feature. But it's there if you guys want it. So I will still comment that out though. So, anyways, so this is the function that's called when the player presses the capture button. So basically, first it sets the counter label. Um, the little thing you see here, the center icon, it says like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So this is that. That's what this handles right here. In a while loop. So then it plays the sound. It makes it visible equals false. Makes a display frame visible equals false. Then it clears the viewport. If you take a photo then another photo, it'll clear the viewport of any current like stuff on it, except the UI corner and UI stroke, because I do want to keep that like effect of like, it's more of like a UI design preference, and I don't want it to delete that. Well, obviously it's parented inside the viewport, so I need to make an exception to not delete everything but these things. So if you like add other stuff inside it, you'd add that exception here. This is the render effect that I did. Like I told you, I just used a little tween animation to make the exact same color background with the frame, the exact same color move, like change in size vertically. So first function that's being called here is the update viewport. This is not as important, but one of the things I tried to do is mimic the lighting of the real game into the picture. The only thing I did is the light direction. So because viewport only has two properties, unfortunately, which is ambient and light color. And when I did that, it didn't look as similar. But if you ever added a feature where you can like select like different filters, like colors, while you take the photo, you do that obviously here. You do that code here. But I think the best way to handle about that is to honestly just add that feature if you ever decide to add a edit photo feature after you save it into the camera roll. Then this could be a useful feature, but it's just there to be there. Next thing is obviously you add the skybox model, which again, the world model right here. I use that model. I did extensive research in making this, guys. This is like one of the singular, like, obvious solutions to adding the sky into the viewport, and obviously any large object such as the base plate into the viewport. Next is the most important one here, which is the capture viewport function, which calls multiple functions. So it takes three parameters: the display frame, the player camera, and the capture. This is just a flag, and you'll see why, but this is just in case if you want to do like in the future you want to do a capture mode or some other modes. But right now there's only a capture mode. So let's just go to the actual capture viewport thing. So this is a transition brightness function, by the way. So if you want to do like change this a little bit, that's just a little like transition brightness effect that I showed you guys. But capture viewport right here, okay? So takes the viewport object itself, the player camera, and the flag type. So right now there's only one flag type, it's capture. If you want to do multiple modes, you just do else if whatever mode you want. But right now it's a capture mode. So it creates a new camera and sets the camera C frame into the camera C frame of the player itself, and sets the field of view to this FOV value that I told you guys that constantly gets updated when you change the FOV value in the free cam mode. So that's what mimics that, and sets the parent to the viewport object. Next, it iterates into the capturable objects folder, and basically each object that's not a player, so anything that's not a humanoid, so it's like a player or anything like NPCs, whatever, it'll call the render object for each object and parent it into the viewport. And the render object function is right here. Basically, first is check is object visible. So it's the object visible. So it does this function, which basically in short checks if the object in the screen for each type of part, base part, model, base part, mesh, union operation, everything. That's what this does. It just check that if the object is actually visible on the screen, so it doesn't add every object even though it's not seen. It's just not efficient in my opinion. So it's a necessary like function that needs to be there. Anyways, so does that, and then after that it clones each object into the viewport that's being seen. And if object is a base part, model, or a union operation or whatever, this just sets them to the proper position in the viewport. Next thing is, what if it's not a base part, model, or base part or whatever mesh union operation? What if it's a player? What's so with Roblox, like I've mentioned this in the beginning of the video about Roblox characters of players. It's when you, if I don't know if you script a lot, you tried to clone the player before, and you had like occurred to an error that says like can't parent this or whatever, like a parent error. So it turns out that when you try to clone a player, you need to set its archivable like property to true, clone it, then set it to false, because turns out it's automatically set to false. And when something is unarchivable, you literally can't like mess with it in terms of like resetting its parent in this case to something else. So that's what this was. Then obviously it sets the viewport current camera into the camera, so it mimics the camera angle. Just these two codes right here, and calls a stop updating viewport function. So this, you know, like when you make this little viewport for like custom character creation, like you always want it to like update it, so like constantly has a live feed if you like add armor or changes color or whatever. So this does the opposite. Since the photo, once you take the photo, you don't want it to keep updating, you just want to take that momentary shot of whatever was seen. So this is what this does, which, you know, just clears everything. Okay, just re-clears everything. Once that's done, we go back to the Snapshot module. So that's basically the whole process of that. So after it takes capture, this is just, you know, changes the brightness. If you do decide to use the brightness thing, the, you know, this transition sets it back to normal. Sets the cursor, the cursor visible to false, so you don't see the little countdown thing again, the little box around it. The filter tween, so this is a tween again, the little render filter I did, and sets that to false. And yeah, that's basically the entire code right there. I don't think I'm missing anything. Let me check my checklist real quick. So I explained the scripts, the world model, server script, workspace. Yeah, so I explained everything I'm actually supposed to. And yeah, on other than that, that's pretty much it. Hopefully you guys make use of this somehow. I think it's a really cool, you know, concept that I haven't seen a tutorial on in YouTube or the Roblox dev forum. But yeah, you can mess around with this. You can obviously make this better. This is just like a really rough draft. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.